Welcome to another episode of NAC Car Culture, your home of tough muscle cars, classic cruisers and high-performance imports. Proudly brought to you by NAC Insurance, specialists in modified and high-performance cars, Mount Shop, undercar specialists, and Tang Tools. Get organised. Coming up in this week's show, New Zealand steps into the world of RWB Porsches with this 964 duo from Hamilton, and race car fabrication at Hopper Car Construction in West Auckland. But first things first, we're off to Wanganui Road Rodders' annual street drags.
Today is kind of a special day for the Wanganui Road Rodders. It's our 30th anniversary of running street drags. Street drags is a dying thing in New Zealand. Like within the North Island, there's only 2 clubs actually running it, one being Cam County, and the other one is us, of course, the Wanganui Road Rodders. Quite proud that we've been doing it for 30 years. As far as competitors go, like the local guys who are driving around on the street with their souped up cars, it gives them a chance to come out and showcase their car to the public without all the pressure and the travel of going to a quarter-mile strip. There's quite often we get people that come to street drags and then they venture, they get the bug and then they venture on a quarter mile. So yeah, it's a starting point.
Wanganui's Taupoki starting point not only serves up a whole lot of street-legal fun for lower-powered cars, but it also keeps things very interesting for those with a few hundred more horses to throw around.
Roads are quite narrow, you feel a little bit claustrophobic, but you get used to it after a while. When you first do it, it's pretty, a bit scary.
These street events aren't prepped, so, you know, we battle for traction being the high horsepower that they are. We're at a genuine drag strip, you know, the track is prepped. Got VHT down, so you got traction all day long. Where, yeah, here you'll probably see a lot of smoke, and we'll try our best to get traction though.
As the day progresses and hopefully we get a bit of sunshine, it will start to become a bit more sticky, and as guys go down and lay rubber, that helps also. So once we're through the qualifying and get into the rounds, yeah, the track should play its part, and then yeah, we've had cars here that have lifted the front wheel before, so if that's any indication to go by.
Clocking up 30 years of street drags is a pretty awesome achievement, no matter how you look at it. But a quick look through the Wanganui Road Rodders ranks suggests why they've made the effort. A lump of metal poking through the hood is almost a rule around here. If not that, then at least a heavy right foot.
Go back 15 to 20 years, the club was a lot of hot rodders, a few drag races. Now the club is a lot of drag races and a few hot rodders.
Yeah, Wanganui's pretty well known for their big horsepower cars. People like, I don't know, there's a bit of a racing culture in our club.
Yeah, we're all pretty competitive and love our cars and love to do the best that we can. So, you know, it's a good hobby or sport for us all to waste our money on. I've been racing since the late 90s, so I've been on and off since then basically, but full on for about the last 7 years. It's a good event, you know, 30 years is a big thing for us. Well, it's basically a 74 Holden Tirana. It's got a 496 big block Chev in it. Done 9 4s over the quarter at 145 mile an hour. That's my personal best the other weekend. Been building it up for about the last 10 years. The motor that's in it has been in there for about 3 years now. Runs a power glide, a 4,000 stall converter, 9-inch, 3/7 diff ratio. Yeah, it goes pretty hard.
And as well as all that drag racing hardware, there's another thing the Tirana has, a warrant and reg.
Yes, it's a street legal car, and I don't think I'd own it otherwise if it wasn't, you know. It's definitely thirsty, definitely thirsty.
I've had it for about 5 years now. It's 1982 WB Kingswood Ute with a 454 and a 16-1 supercharger and a T400 trans and a 9-inch diff. And yeah, I've been racing it for a little while too. Not too sure about the horsepower. It used to be 450 when we first put the motor in, it just had a single carb on it. Now we've changed it a little bit. River Speed and Spears do most of it. So yeah, maybe around 600 horsepower probably. It's done 11.1 on the quarter mile. It should do a 10. We just had a few teething problems that day. It actually drives very well, the ute. It goes where it should use most of the time when you're pointing the wheels.
After spending a good chunk of the event's 30 years putting in the hard yards, Grant is now enjoying his time as a spectator and occasional participant.
Yeah, I've been up there for 25, 26 years running it, and Raj Patel's taken over from me, and it's just great to be sitting back and watching and enjoying instead of running the job, so yeah. I've had that over 30 years, 1930 Model A pickup. It's got a 351 Windsor, C6 transmission and a jag diff in it. And yeah, I've sort of had to play on the street drags for a good few years. I've built it twice now, it's going good, yeah.
And although the Model A is no slouch in the motivation department, Grant's seen enough now to know where to draw the line.
That guy beside you, when he beats you, you think you want to go faster and beat him, well, but you can never keep up because there's always somebody beside you who's going to beat you. So yeah, you can spend a lot of money for half a second and that's still somebody else is going to beat you. So I'm here for a good time, fun day out, and then put it back in the shed and go to rod runs and yeah.
Right, there's a whole lot more in store on NAC Car Culture with this RWB Porsche duo, plus race car fabrication and hopper car construction coming up after the break. But first it's time to drop in Pukekohe's E&H Motors, where Carl serves up this week's NAC Tech Tip.
If you're coming in for a dyno tune, here's a few checks that you could do to save yourself money and make the process run really smoothly. First thing to do is have a really good chat to your tuner about the power you want to make in your car, what fuel you run, what you're doing with the car, because it makes a difference to how we tune your car. The most common problems we see when a car comes in for a dyno tune, the first one would be boost leaks. So basically when the car comes in, we'll pressure test intercooler system, and it's quite often for us to find hose clamps not tight enough on silicon joints. Things like the aluminium pipework doesn't have a good swage on it, so quite often when we're running the car at high boost, the pipes will pop apart. Another thing we sometimes see is important lines to like fuel pressure regulator and map sensor. They'll have T's into it to boost gauges and all those other things, which slows down how quickly the fuel pressure regulator or the computer sees the signal, so it can't respond as quickly. So it's definitely a big no-no. We want to make sure that the engine's in good condition before we start the tuning process. Check the water and the oil. Just make sure that the oil's in good condition, the water's full, all the basics. Pull the spark plugs out and just have a good look at the 4 spark plugs or 8 spark plugs or however many you've got. And we want to see that they're all burning even at the moment. We would also look to see if there's any wiring looms or anything around hot exhaust manifolds that could melt or could cause an issue. We need to make sure that everything's perfect before we start, and then you'll have a really good tune from then on.
You're back with NAC Car Culture, kindly brought to you by the good people at NAC Insurance, Teng Tools and Mount Shop. Thanks to Teng Tools, we're off to West Auckland to drop in at race car builders Hopper Car Construction.
I've been doing this for nearly 30 years now. When I was young, I went to Australia, worked over in Australia as a motor mechanic. I got pretty much hooked on the drag racing over there. I sort of fancied it and imagined that I could build and own a car. So I did. I built one over there and raced it there. And then circumstances brought me back home to New Zealand, and at the same time the Anderson family was starting to race cars with the Pine Pack Mustangs and the Falcons and things that they had. And they employed me and I looked after their cars for many years, went to Bathurst a couple of times with them. That was a pretty, up there years. There was a lot of fun, and we did a lot of racing, and took me to Australia, to Bathurst. So yeah, that's basically how I got started. I carried on with a bit of drag racing over here in New Zealand, met a good friend of mine, Mark Vincent, and we decided to build a twin-engine freight train dragster, and that has been an outrageously successful car. That car is 27 years old now, and we can still hold records with it. It's been a fantastic car. And then got hooked up in the muscle car scene as well, and I have a passion for Camaros, and my son David, he currently races one of my nicest cars, the Black Army car, and I've built a lot of cars for Central Muscle Cars. One thing just led to another, and it just spiraled out of control, and I've been as busy as I could have ever been or imagined for the last 25, 30 years. So it's been great.
While Ken is clearly no stranger to seat time in a straight line, he's more than happy to leave the widey stuff to his clients.
My son, he can sit in the car for hours and hours. After 5 minutes in the cars, I've that's it for me. But the real thrill for me always has been creating the cars. And to see them do well is always a really great thing. And to see my cars do well with my son driving it as well, that's really good. So.
Although the hopper car construction crew will take on most projects, it's their work behind the Central Muscle Car class that they've become known for, and what takes up a fair chunk of real estate in the workshop. Grant Dalton's second-gen Camaro is currently undergoing an off-season rebuild and freshen-up before being loaded up to head to Bathurst later this year. Ken also builds track-ready cars to sell, with racing just a key turn away.
Great mechanical fun, like building things, creating things. People come in with ideas and we create those ideas for them into real racing cars, and they've had a lot of fun. The technical side of things is very difficult because the goalposts are always moving, and what we used to be happy with 15, 20 years ago is now no one would really even turn up to the game with. And that makes it difficult when you're actually building the cars, because the cost of the cars continually spiral out of control. Many years ago we used to be able to race for a few $1,000s, but now it's hundreds of thousands of dollars to create these cars. So you lose track of the grassroots stuff, and the technology and everything is just relentless. It's man versus machine. Sometimes machines have a mind of their own. The modern Central Muscle Car, the class when it first started out, everything was reasonably low key. If you had a good Chevrolet engine in there and stuff like that, you could actively compete. But in today's world, everyone's using very high-powered engines. They're all NASCAR-orientated engines. They're all in the vicinity of 800 horsepower. So consequently, everything else that's behind that engine has to be backed up to match. Otherwise, it's just imminent failure. Like, the cars are going seriously fast now.
And yes, the cars are built to be beaten around the track, but you won't see any corners being cut in the finish.
To me, a downside is actually when we actually have to start using them, because from that point on, they're never going to be as good as the day we've pushed it out of the shop. The paintwork's always beautiful, the engines are fresh, and the gearboxes are brand new. I've been doing it for 30 years, and it has been relentless. Everyone imagines that it is a dream job, and to some degree it is, but there are days when you think, oh well, got to go and do the same old thing and build a racing car for someone. Yeah, I've still got the passion. I still do love building the cars, especially the muscle cars, because they're a lot of fun and they look beautiful when they're finished.
For the entire month of July, Teng Tools are giving away thousands of dollars worth of amazing prizes, including this 460-piece Teng Mega Master Toolkit worth almost $3.5 grand. To begin to win this and be included in the weekly Teng Tools prize draws, simply visit themotorhood.com and follow the Teng Tools promotion link. Right, it's time now to meet this week's Mount Shop feature cars. Yep, there's two of them. This wide-body Porsche 964 Duo marked New Zealand's first bold step into the world of RWB styling. The Automotive Trans-Pacific Partnership coming about when RWB New Zealand's Aaron Mai helpfully offered inspiration for Anthony Wong's next build.
I just finished a car at that time, finished my Honda Civic K20 swap. He said, oh look, must be time for you to upgrade and do another project. And I was like, okay, what next? And he's like, look, you know, Nakai really wants to come to New Zealand and he would love to build a car in New Zealand. And instantly I thought, wow, you know, is that even a possibility? And I guess 4 years ago, you know, that really got the ball rolling, and it was just a matter of finding the car and the time and I guess the money to do it, and here we are.
And so the groundwork for New Zealand's first RWB Porsche was underway. But if one car was a good idea, then two was certainly better.
Probably about 3 or 4 months out, you know, Nan actually hit me up. He goes, hey, you know, I'm looking at buying this car. Can you come have a look at it? And I'm like, okay, what is it? So I had a look, and it's on a, you know, Japanese website, you know, auction website, and it was actually an RWB. And I was like, that's cool, but you know, why do you want to buy someone else's car that, you know, Nakai built for someone else, not for you? And he goes, oh yeah, but I can't get him to New Zealand. And I was like, well, he's actually coming to New Zealand to build my car. And he's like, what, is he?
Perfect opportunity, so yeah, and I'll just get into buying the car and getting the kit ready and all that stuff, and yeah, just get onto it.
But while the RWB name has gained considerable traction in recent years, both Anthony and Nan have long been fans and followers of Nakai-san's work.
Mate, I was still probably a student at that time. It was an article which Aaron actually shot the photos for, and it was on Nakai's personal car, Stella. And at the time, we'd never seen anything like that. Work masters on a Euro, you know, unheard of. You know, never seen that kind of stuff before. And it was matte black. We're like, wow, you know, who the hell does that? Previously, you had to send the car into Japan for Nakai-san to do, you know, apply his trade to your car, you know. But he used to do the whole lot. So you would send the car to him, he'll do the paint, he'll do the body work, he'll set up the suspension, he'll do the engine, the whole package. With how quickly the brand has grown over the last 2 to 3 years, he's now flying all over the world building these cars, but he's cut it down to just the bodywork side of things and the suspension side of things.
With the dates locked in, Anthony and Nan set about assembling their own team, joining forces with the likes of GT Refinishes and Midnight Upholstery in preparing the 964 Duo for the RWB Surgeon's Knife. There would be no going back now and no rain checks.
You know, you can't exactly just, oh no, we've got to push you back, you know, so it had to be done in that time. And everyone bought into that, and everyone understood the time frames and just got stuck in and got it done for us.
Nakai's 8-day stay would be centred around a helicopter hangar in the Manawatu.
Any other build around the world, you're lucky to get him for 3 days. You know, he lands, he clears customs, he's at your workshop, he's doing your car, building it all up. After 3 days, it's done, and he's gone, he's out of here. And we're extremely lucky to have him for 8 days. We really got to know the guy, you know, and at a more of a personal level, I guess. It turns out like everyone around the world, I think, puts him on this great pedestal. You know, he's amazing, don't get me wrong, but what I found over those 8 days is that he doesn't want to be put up on that pedestal. He wants to be treated as one of the boys. And I mean, at the build, I mean, the first day, it was like everyone was just tiptoeing around him, trying to give him as much space as possible. And you know, we had the music kind of like just faintly in the background. You know, within an hour, he's like, you know, what's wrong with the stereo? You know, can we not turn it up? There's one word that can really describe him. He's an absolute perfectionist. But then on the flip side is, in terms of his standing in the car industry, I suppose, you'd think he'd be a bit more arrogant, a bit more uptight and all that. Not at all. He's one of the most laid-back blokes you'll ever meet.
It's a one-off experience. It's a lifetime experience, and yeah, I wish we can have, you know, more.
8 days later, and New Zealand had 2 of its own to join the RWB's worldwide ranks. While the two cars share obvious design cues and the same Porsche 3.6 litre flat six, they are in fact very different vehicles. Anthony's 964 takes on a more performance focus with a slightly more subtle kit, an RS Cup spec motor built by LM Automotive, and the car takes corners care of Bilstein coilover suspension. Nan went wider and lower. The rear guards pushed the car 20 centimetres wider than Anthony's, while an AirX airbag installed and rebuilt stock motor were chosen with cruising in mind. Both cars were publicly unveiled for the first time at Foreign Rotors Jamboree at Manfield, and it's fair to say they didn't go unnoticed.
We didn't expect to have that huge, like that big of an impact, I still just think that it's just a car, so to speak, but yeah, no, the following we've had, the support we've had has been huge, and you know, you get the guys who like it, you get the guys who absolutely hate them, but I still get the goofy grin, you know, every time I see the damn thing. It's like, man, you know, I've finally got one, you know. Definitely worth it. I wouldn't change it. That's for sure.
Want to see more cars in action like this? Jump onto themotorhood.com now and sign up for our totally free digital magazine. It's packed with the best bits from New Zealand Performance Car, NZV8 and New Zealand Classic Car magazines. Simply enter your email address and you'll get it direct to your inbox. Easy. That's us for this episode of NAC Car Culture. Coming up next week, the Gracie's skid spec Falcon packing small block Chev firepower and a bunch of other unexpected tricks. Period perfect hot rods and pro-charged street brawlers at Rocket Speed Equipment. And we hit Hampton Downs for Honda Cup action and check out Aiden's RX Racer. See you then. NAC Car Culture was proudly brought to you by NAC Insurance, specialists in modified and high-performance cars, Mount Shop, undercar specialists, and Teng Tools. Get organised.